Hello.
Oh,
I love how everybody's wearing black.
it's my color.
Yes. Well, thank you all for just taking out the time today to honestly do this event. There are a lot of discussions that are happening within the community, and we are trying to get to a better place. And the only way to do that is to have discussions with each other, and hopefully try to apply those same things to our lives to get to a better place. So before we get started, I do want to say that unfortunately, our moderator was not able to be here today. She had an emergency. So I'll be stepping in. Yay.
Yay.
We'll see how that goes.
Nothing wrong with that.
And really quickly, thank you for everybody who is tuning in. For those who do not know, Endo Black is an organization that focuses on advocacy around African-American women and women of color who are affected by endometriosis. We have 4 goals. I won't go over all of them, but the first one being is to create a safe space and also to create a conversation within the Black community around women's reproductive health and other things that are effective to what we go through in the community. So before we get started, who would like to introduce themselves first?
We'll go first. So I'm Millicent Stokes. This is my wife, Dionne Stokes. We're from New Orleans. We reside here in the DC area. We live up the street from FedEx Fields. We've been here I've been here 2 years, and you've been here 6 years. So that's us. She works at the Department of Transportation, and I work for the EW Scripts company selling media across country. So that's who we are.
Thank you for that. Hey, April.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you guys. I love connecting with other women within the Endo community. So thank you, Lauren, for putting this together and for having us on this forum to talk about endo and marriage. I'm excited. So I'm April Christina. This is my husband, Gregory Alexander. Together, we're known as Happily Alexander. We have our separate platforms. I'm April Christina, where I focus on endometriosis and infertility and going through that. My husband is a photographer, so you can follow him on Journeys with Shaka. We met at church 5 or 6 years ago, and that was it. After that, let me tell a story. It'll be totally opposite from him.
It's always gonna be opposite, sis.
Always, he's gonna be opposite.
Well, there's the truth, and then there's lies, so it's gonna be opposite always.
And then the real thing is what's in the middle, and it leads more to this side, but that's neither here nor there. March 23rd, we've been married for 3 years total and still going, and we're really, really excited. Just really to bring togetherness of what it looks like to have somebody with a chronic illness and to still to be able to enjoy life together. So we're really excited about tonight.
Well, thank you all. I love the introduction. I hear the NOLA accent, very heavy.
That's heavy. I love it.
So we have NOLA accents, we have New York accents. Okay. So we're not going to be confused. We already know. But I'm so glad to have you both present while we are talking about this. And everybody has their own experiences. Everyone has their own battles with endometriosis, but we never get a chance to see the other side of it and listen to the spouse. You know, I think that is a big thing because it doesn't allow us to, one, understand a perspective on how to be nice, because people with endo, we can be a little bit edgy sometimes.
Different personality. It comes with the trade.
It does. But it will allow us also to figure out what works best for both of you. And it's not easy in itself because marriage is also difficult. So now you have endometriosis that is somehow made its way into your life, and now you have to juggle marriage, your jobs, and endometriosis and family. So of course we'll get started. again, if anybody in the audience has any questions, we have our Q&A. Feel free to go ahead and ask those. Drop those questions if you do. We may go over some stuff that you didn't even think. But hey, and I want it to be an open conversation and us to just piggyback off each other, share information. And I'm very appreciative of you all taking your time out just to have a really quick chat about what's going on in your personal lives. So really quickly, the first question that I have is a simple question. Very simple, but not really that simple. How did the conversation of endometriosis come up in the first place? And April, if you want to go first and then pass it off.
You want me to start or you want Greg to start?
No, that's
pressure.
Right.
Either one, because he had noticed something first.
But at the time,
I thought that meant you was gonna let me go.
Oh, you gonna go? Go ahead.
That's crazy. She's
go ahead,
like,
go,
you want
go.
Greg to go first? I'm gonna just tell the story.
Go ahead.
No, but so before April ever told me about it or tried to allude to having endometriosis, I looked it up for myself because she said something about it, but she kind of just like did it in passing. And so it was one of those things where it was like, I'm gonna just say this to see what he do kind of thing. And and so when I found out about it, I researched and looked it up, probably spelled it wrong when I first put it into Google, but hey, no one's a genius at that word.
That's fair.
And then I found out all these things. I had all these questions. I had a little cheat sheet. So just in case she brought the conversation up again, I would be able to have a conversation, be like, yeah, I know what that is, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, so I had my little notes in my phone, had little bullet points. So whenever she brought up the conversation, I was already ready. So she wasn't surprising me with nothing. So I had everything locked and loaded, ready to go. So
from a person that actually have endo, it was like a run-on sentence. I think like we was like in the beginning of us dating and I just happened to like say it. And then I think I went to talk about like something I shopped with. Like that's how quickly like the sentence like, deviated to something else. For me, my past relationships, no one understood. So I got so used to being independent when it comes to relationships. Like for me, my endo lies in my legs because I have a lot of nerve damage. So it makes it difficult for me to drive. But because in my past, no one actually understood that or really made it an importance of their life, I learned how to drive in the pain and go to the emergency room by myself. So for me, with this relationship, when I met Greg, I didn't really want to talk about it. Although I already had a social media platform, like I wasn't pressed for us to follow each other or for him to know. If he knew, then he did. But I didn't make it a priority. I lied a lot in the beginning with us canceling dates. I was stuck at work. And to give context, I work in the hospital and I've worked in a very well-known hospital for now 13 years. So it's not far-fetched for me to say, oh no, I'm at work, but technically I was a patient at work, but I left that part out. So that happened for a long, long time until I couldn't take it anymore. And he was just like, why are you still at work and it's this late? And then I was like, I was in the emergency room. So that's actually what sparked the conversation. But if it was left up to me, I held it as long as I could. But that's only because of my past trauma that I didn't deal with.
Okay. I can understand. In her defense, Greg, I understand.
So I rock with you.
I had to go. I had to pick her.
Yeah.
You can't say that when we schedule a date every other day, and it's like, oh no, I can't. Oh, I'm like, you gotta be dating somebody else because this is you don't work.
I see you shaking your head, so it sounds like that's a familiar story.
You just can't believe it.
Yeah. For us, I just got diagnosed this year and we were in the process of getting married through a pandemic. And so we got married 10/10/2020. And before then, I went from being like always wanting to play a game, always wanting to smoke hookah, always wanting to hang out in the living room to being in our room with a heating pad in the bed. And it got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I got off my birth control when I moved in 2019. I had been on like, this is my 6th birth control. Let's just put it out there. And so I finally, when I moved, I was like, I'm not doing this birth control crap no more. It doesn't work, whatever. I'm not doing it. And once I got off, my symptoms monthly progressively got worse to the point where she was like, girl, honey, what is the problem? You was in the room all the time. You always in this bed. Every time you get off work, the first thing you do is get in this bed, and I'm over it. And finally, I was like, I feel like my uterus is about to fall out the bottom. I mean, I don't understand what's going on. And she was like, well, you best go find you a doctor.
She didn't say it like that.
She didn't say it like that, but she was very encouraging. And it took a long time for me to finally listen, because for me, my trauma comes in when I would go to the doctor and I would tell them, look, my periods are super heavy. They're super painful. I can't walk half the time the first 2 days. I'm doubled over. I'm nauseous. I'm vomiting. This is not normal. And they kept changing my birth control. So I was like, why would I go to the doctor when they're only going to tell me it's just a bad period? It's fine. Like some women just go through it. And I'm like, why would I do that? And she encouraged me to find a doctor that looked like me. And so I did. I searched while I was here. I found a doctor that looked like me. And when I went in, I had never heard of endometriosis in my life. And when she mentioned it back in March, I got on the phone with her and I was like, this lady saying I got something called endometriosis or adenomyosis, and she Googling. I'm like, I don't know what that is. And that's when I decided to start my blog. I was like, if I don't know what this is, I went to school, I'm educated. I went to one of the best known Black HBCUs in this country, and I have never heard of this before in my life. And if I don't know, someone less fortunate doesn't know. And if I don't know, someone who looks like me is walking around thinking that this is normal, and it's not. And it affected my day-to-day life. I was getting one good week a month. And if she hadn't encouraged me to seek help again, even though I had done it so many times, I wouldn't even know to this day what was wrong with me. So she's the reason why I'm even diagnosed in the first place.
First of all, well, thank you for pushing her, because I think that is the biggest thing. Relationships are about supporting. Relationships are about compromising. Relationships are about noticing something that wasn't the same before, and now I have to say, okay, let's talk to somebody about this. So that is an amazing aspect. And for the spouses on the call, what was your honest reaction after one, Googling endometriosis and then learning about it? And I won't get too heavy. I'll just let you answer those 2 questions.
For me, the biggest thing that I focused on was empathy for Millicent, because, initially I was like, man, she got really bad cycles, so, I did the heating pad, I did the tea, I did what I could to make her as comfortable as possible. So just for me, just being patient with her and knowing that she always can't make dates, and we always can't make things or have to cancel on people. So it was a lot of that in the beginning too. So I would say just empathy and patience.
When I first Googled and found out all this information, the first thing that came up was infertility. And so, that immediately causes anyone who wants to have children to have a red flag. Like, oh my God, wait, is this thing? What is this going to look like? How's this going to be? Should I even continue in this? What is the goal here? And how, I need to find out if this is something serious or not. Because then you don't want to get into something, feel like you wasted your time, and then you have certain goals in your life and you want to get them. So I went through all of that, kind of pushed it to the side, and I was like, okay, let's find out what exactly it is first before I just jump the gun. And so, after finding out what it was, I had my little cliff notes, like I said earlier. And then I just and after having the conversation, after having her explain to me what her endometriosis was, because it's different for everyone. And finding out that the ways it affected her made a lot more sense for our situations, with all the cancellations and stuff, and kind of navigating how to be there, but how to allow her to let me help her, and how to not take care of her too much. My mom has an autoimmune disease, so I was already like in that mode where I was helping my mom do certain things and doing stuff. So I was already like, it wasn't like it was like, oh, I don't feel like dealing with this. It was like, oh, I kind of know how to, work around this. And because April is very, very headstrong, I won't say stubborn, I'll say headstrong. She wouldn't be able to crawl off the bed, but would not let me pass her a box of tissue. And
that was a big argument.
Yeah,
let me tell y'all, like huge, like
she almost got left right on that bed crying.
I was crying like, leave the tissue box alone. It was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad.
It was a hot mess, and I had to let her know. I'm like, listen, you can't want me in your life and not allow me to do things to help you. I understand you have your level of independence, but you cannot move. If you try to get off the bed, you're gonna fall on the floor and hurt yourself. The tissue box is on the dresser. I'm already standing up. I'm going to pass you the tissue box.
Is literally a conversation. Like, he's not paraphrasing. This was a real life argument.
Meanwhile, she's screaming at me, "No, I can't do it. I can't do it." I'm like,
oh.
All right.
Yeah, it's hard for people who live with it, because so many people don't understand why you're in pain. And then when you finally meet this one person who does understand it, and you're like, you can't possibly understand what I'm going through. You lying. You can't possibly want to help me. You're gonna leave me.
I'm like, he made me.
She said, you're gonna leave me.
Tomorrow may be a different story. And I think I was more fearful of being in isolation and alone again than really understanding that's love, like showing a love language, like, and I was blinded because I was in so much pain emotionally and naturally to actually see that. But it was a lot of growing pains for me to get to that point. Like, now we've matured in that area where it's a give and take, and I know, like, all right, let me just let him do it. And other times he's like, okay, she has that face where she wants to at least try, but I know when I can't try past what I think my mind can do, then I do help him. But it's a real thing. I mean, like, I'm really, really thankful for Greg in that area, because I had to really change my mindset of like what emotions look like, not only for us as a couple, but just me individually, so that we can be a couple. Because like, sometimes people don't realize, like, with having a condition like endo, like, people think that, like, okay, having endo may be the end all be all, but sometimes your reaction to having endo can be the end all be all in a relationship. And I had to really shift and change my mindset with that.
Yeah, so two things. So Greg said that when he looked up endometriosis, he saw infertility, just like everybody else, though.
Right.
Everybody else does that. That's the first thing that we see. And it goes back to your point, April, about the end all be all. That's it. Like, that's the end of everything. And it's so important for us as people with endometriosis, but also for people that are dating or married to people with endometriosis, to take a moment to take a step out so that they won't overwhelm themselves either, because it becomes so overwhelming. You have somebody with endo that you care about, and you're like, I got to figure something out. Because I don't know how they're going to get through this. And now you're going down a rabbit hole. You probably done diagnosed them with other stuff. So it's just all about taking a moment and to digress and be patient, what goes back to Dionne's point. She was talking about two things. Empathetic and patience was something that she had to really, really take a moment and apply to their marriage, which is not an easy thing, again, because marriage is difficult in itself. And then to also be married and then get a diagnosis after could be a little difficult for people as well. So I love well, I don't love the endo. I don't love it, but I love the diversity of how April and Greg, you all learned about it ahead of time, and how, you know, well, I don't love the fact that you were diagnosed with it after the fact, but there's a different variation for people to understand the differences of how it could come into your life at any time. And you just have to apply and compromise.
Yeah, and for us, one of the things I will always say is, you didn't sign up for this. This is not what you signed up for. It's the first year of our marriage, and I got diagnosed with endo. I have to have surgery. I had fibroids. And then when they got in there, they were like, oh yeah, you have early signs of adenomyosis. And I was like, well, what don't I got? Yeah.
And just tell the doctor, you're stressing me out, doc. Don't ask. Don't tell me nothing else. Don't tell me nothing else.
Don't tell me nothing else. Like, what don't I have? And so it was hard for me because she hates to see me in pain. Yeah. And I hate to see her feeling like she doesn't know how to help me, because sometimes there is nothing they can do. You just have to ride it out. And that sucks when you love somebody so much and they're in pain, and all you can do is just watch them be in pain. And to know, you know, for us, we didn't find out until after we got married. So for us to find out that I'm going to possibly deal with this for the rest of my days, that's the rest of our marriage. That's a lot to take on when you thought I was this perfectly healthy New Orleans girl, you know, that was bomb, came into your life, married you real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the bomb. And then you find out I got a bomb going on in my uterus. Like, what?
I found out I had a bomb in my uterus.
Surprise. Surprise. Here we go. So that's hard. But we've been figuring out how to navigate the hard moments and the flare-ups, because those are tough, you know, but every day you just learn something new. Some days are easier than others. And those are the days we cherish the most. The days where I'm like, let's go for a walk. You want to go for a walk? We're going for a walk. Those are the days that we cherish the most, because we don't know when my next flare up is going to be. So we want to live today the best way we know how.
Yeah. I think also for me to point out, when Greg and I first met, I wasn't dealing with infertility. Like my eggs was good, my follicles was strong, my AMH was fine, and the minute we decided that we wanted to have kids, that's when it was like that number one thing when he Googled came up, and I'm like, dog, like now we dealing with another whammy, like, you know, what does this look like? So to Lauren's point, it is true, because with endo, it's so spontaneous. You don't know what to expect from day to day, like you said. And then sometimes, unfortunately, you can get hit with another layer of something else, because this chronic condition does deal with a system, which is your body. And there's so many different things that you can deal with that you won't know that you're dealing with initially until you find those right physicians that really get down to the root of what's really happening, so that they can treat your whole body.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. So to a lighter note, we're going to try to fluff it up a little bit, the lovey-dove. So what is, in your opinion, you cannot combine your answers. You have to give me one for each person. I should make y'all close your eyes and write it down. But
that would have been a good game.
What is the biggest strength in your relationship, in your opinion?
For me, the biggest strength in our relationship at the moment is our communication skills. So when she was first diagnosed, she was very forthcoming with me with a diagnosis, and we talked about it. And like you said, we envision what that would look like for us now and the future. So always having that communication vessel is very big for the both of us. And so, that's what we do. So,
yeah. Hey, teamwork.
And I would say that our biggest strength in our marriage is how resilient we've been. life has thrown a lot at us, even in the last year. Everyone, we're dealing with a pandemic. We're both working from home. So we're together literally all day, every day. We do not have a break from each other. That is a test to your marriage, baby. Let me tell you something. Somebody in your face all day. It's a task because, there's no separation. There's no time to miss each other. Then on top of that, I found out I had endo, and then I found I had fibroids, and I had to have surgery back in June of this year. And we just keep taking it in strides. And the setbacks, we don't look at them that way. They're tough. Sometimes it can be very anxiety riddled, but we're so honest with each other about how we're feeling, about, okay, this is too much for me. I can't do it. We're going to have to cancel these plans. Look, my body is just telling me, no, I need to get some rest. And we have honest conversations about how we're feeling, not just physically, but also emotionally, because it's so important. And we've been resilient throughout all of this. Life has knocked us down. We've gotten back up together. And every time it knocks, even if it knocks one person down, the other one gets down with them, and then we get up together. And that has been some of the things that has helped us through a lot of the tough moments, because we've had a few. We haven't even gotten into week 1. We haven't even got one yet. So I think that's what helps us the most, that we just go, okay, it knocked us in the head today. We're going to shake it off. And then tomorrow we're going to just take it on head first. So between communication, honesty, and resiliency, we got this down pat so far, I think.
Want me to go?
Yeah, sure.
So the first thing that came to mind for me, which may surprise Greg, is his humor. Sometimes when Greg is not trying to be funny, he's funny to me. And he was like, but I'm serious. And for me, I'm always a serious person. And the only time when I'm silly is when I'm ridiculously tired. And then I can't even think literally. But his humor has really gotten us through a lot of tough times, even times when I didn't want to laugh, like the chuckle, but in my mind, I was like, nah, that was funny, but I'm serious though. But like, it's just like those type of moments that like really lighten the spirit, especially this year with us going through IVF. Like his heart and posture has been in a different place than mine, which was definitely the total opposite. So right now in this season of where we are, for me, that's really important.
For me, I would say balance. So kind of tapping on what she said, but not exactly the same thing. But it is, having the wherewithal to know when your partner is down or when you're up, and when you're, or when you're down and your partner's up, having the wherewithal to kind of be that, to be out front and kind of, try to combat it, and try to put yourself in the best position to help cover them during that time. So that they're able to, go through what they're going through, but not be exposed in the process of it. And I think that is one of the greatest things that we've been able to manage, because if, there's certain things that you'll go through just in normal life that you have to deal with on top of endometriosis. And with that, you have to be able to not hide, but be able to deal with certain things in a respectable way, and not, be like, or it be an embarrassment to the other one, or, it's, you put something on public display that doesn't reflect what you want to reflect out of your marriage. And so just being consistent in that area has done a lot to kind of relieve pressure off of each other, and allowed us to do what it is that we want to do in certain seasons. So having that, being able to be flexible like that has really helped us a lot. So that was one of the things.
That's good. So basically not being like Erica and Safari and putting their relationship on Twitter.
No.
It doesn't benefit.
I mean, we don't get a check, so
That's
anybody
true.
not like that.
That's true.
We just real life.
The Real House of the Real Endo Wives of America.
Right. And honestly, it's not even worth it. Like, one thing that we've learned, like from going to therapy and from premarital, is like just really understanding, like, you may avow to this person, for better or for worse. So that means that you had intentions on understanding that this person loves you unconditionally. Then maybe sometimes it may not feel that way, but that doesn't erase the love that you have for each other. And like one thing that we have kept in the forefront is understanding that we are not each other's enemy. And as bad as a situation may seem or sound or look, we still have to understand the underlying foundation, and that's that we have each other's best intentions at heart at all times. And sometimes, like, our spouse may see something, whether it's endo related or not endo related, that we may not see because either we're in pain emotionally, physically, and it's jading our mental capacity of actually really understanding what they're saying. So you may not like it, but then like in the long run, when like you're able to really process it and really revisit the conversation or the topic again, then you really understand like, okay, now I have a better and clearer understanding of what they were trying to say. So yeah, just understand that, you know, they're not your enemy. Like, they're here for you.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what you both were saying a little bit earlier about past relationships really creating a situation where you were triggered or you had PTSD, and, you know, making sure that you got the support you needed, because in the past people had let you down. Do you believe, and I'm going to say I believe, but I want to hear your perspective. Do you believe that it's important to make sure you have that mental aspect taken care of as well? Because we know with endometriosis, you may be triggered a lot. And then in marriages, you may be triggered a lot just because we're people. So do you think going ahead and talking to a counselor, a therapist is going to help you, especially when it comes to endometriosis and how to manage it in your lives?
Yeah, for me, one of the things that I wish that I would have done is did therapy before I met Greg. But like growing up as a PK, like therapy just wasn't a thing that was discussed in the Black church as something that you go to, like, unless like you're crazy or like you really need help. But everyone needs help every day with navigating life and what that looks like. So I didn't go to personal therapy until when we got engaged, right? Were we engaged or were we married, right? Yeah, and that's only been 3 years, and I've learned so much about myself on really what navigation looks like for me, because you still have to be a whole you before you're able to be a spouse for someone else. So that's definitely something that I wish, now that I'm in it and I understand what therapy is, I wish I would have done it earlier.
And I actually did therapy a year, I think it was like a whole year before because we started dating, we stopped, and then we started dating again. And in between the stop and back on, I went to therapy for almost a year because I felt like there were things, you know, you have childhood trauma that your parents don't think they inflicted on you, but they did. And, and then you have work trauma because people are gaslighting you at work and there's microaggressions. And then you have, you know, all these different things that happen in your life. And then on top of that, your body feels like it's against you, and it's against you all the time. And that's a lot to deal with, and it causes a lot of anxiety. And if you don't have the right mental space to deal with all of these different things that's going to trigger you, you know, what I found is stress is my biggest flare-up trigger. And when I am super stressed out and I don't have an outlet, you know, it makes everything worse. And I tend to lash out because that's how my anxiety works. You're working on my nerves, I've lashed out on you. And that's not a positive way or a healthy way to deal with those emotions, because it's not the fact that you ate my chips that's making me mad. It's the fact that I have Becky at work making me mad. My stomach hurts, my leg hurts, you know, and then I have all these other things, and I'm letting this one thing, this small thing, agitate me to the point of sparking this unnecessary argument. And I had to get to the root of why I did that and how I can process that and make it better. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen at all ever, but it's gotten a whole lot better because I decided that I needed someone qualified to help me manage my emotions. And there's nothing wrong with finding somebody to help you process your emotions, because you can't always lean on someone else to help you through something. Sometimes it has to be you that helps you through it. And I can't be, like April said, a great partner to her if I'm mentally messed up. So I'm willing to say, I'm not my best right now. I need help. And I do that whenever I need it, because that's the only way you're going to know why I'm like this. And that's the only way you're going to know to help me through it, or to direct me to go and find my therapist and have them help me through it. I am pro therapy. I love it for everybody.
Yeah.
Hashtag therapy. And this will be our last question. And this is going to be for Dionne and Greg. I want to know, for the spouses, significant others out there that are trying their best, or that may come in contact with somebody that they love that may have endometriosis in their future, what are some tips or what is some advice that you would share with them and how to better love their significant other?
You're just staring at each other like, who gonna go first?
Like she said, don't take anything personal, I would say. Know that, so especially when she's going through one of her episodes, I know that she may be a little moody. So just watch out for things like that. No, it's not you. It's not you. It's the symptom. It's the pain that's dictating the way she responds to things. So you know, and take some time out for yourself. You know, I found myself catering to Millicent a lot, that it was all about her, that I was like, damn, I did forget about me. Wait, it's two of us in this relationship. So, you know, and the flare-ups was so often, I was like, damn, you know, I never thought I was going to catch a break. So, you know, I should just go sit on the balcony, you know, or just go outside just to, you know, stand by get some me time by myself. So, you know, luckily, she's very attentive. I can say that. So she kind of felt when I was in a mood like, okay, I'm tired now. You know, it can be tiring. So, you know, so yes, it's not you. And take some time out for yourself. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say to help navigate any couple trying to navigate this, I would say sometimes tough love is necessary, because we get that there's some emotional backlashes that come with having endometriosis, but then there's a time where sometimes we may have to get to a place where we discipline ourselves that we don't have to come out of character to that extent. And so you have to work at that in stages. It can't just be, nah, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. Watch how you talking to me. You can't, you know, that you ain't jumping out the gate that way. But if you were like, hey, just remind her real quick, hey, this is me. This is not the doctors you've seen in the past. This is not whatever you're imagining. This is me. Now let's have a conversation. I know you're in pain, but let's talk through this. What is it that's hurting? What can I do to help you? If I can't help you, I'll leave you here so you can deal with this on your own, but let me know what it is I can do, because we can't keep doing the same. Every time a flare happens, we respond, the same reaction happens the same way. And so for me, it was not that I took it personally, but I know that you can't conduct yourself like this everywhere. And so being that the world is already against you as a Black woman, I'm not gonna allow you to get a pass here where no one else allows you to get that pass. We're gonna work through it together. We're gonna build up to get to that point. But it was like, we gotta have some kind of middle ground here, so that way when you're in pain, does it move? Does you have to, like, you know, I may not know what that pain feels like, but how do we navigate not crying instantly? How do we navigate maybe being able to walk off? How do we navigate you know, sensing that a flare-up is coming, you know, what the triggers may be, because then then we can remove ourselves from certain situations before we have the opportunity to maybe take someone's head off if they come at you the wrong way. And so navigating that, really working together to navigate that, is a tremendous help, because then now when she goes to work and someone says X to her, but she knows she's able to preemptively walk away. She's able to bring herself back. She's able to go, you know what? I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to go on lunch. Becky is bothering me and I might spaz on her today. And so, it's always, it's working through that process to understanding, I feel like because endometriosis is such a random thing, I know like the women have to carry this with them. They kind of have a better sense of their body than most people. And so because, it makes you so intuitive with your body, and then kind of, you get this sense, I'm working with April to say, trust your body, trust what your body's telling you. If you know that you feel like this is happening, it's not just oh, maybe I'm bugging. No, you know what's happening in your body because you feel different. It's telling you X, Y, and Z. So working through allowing them to even trust themselves in this process, and, understand that even though they may not be able to control their body is going to give them cues and, signs of what may be happening. And so navigating that was a really big part and a really big support. So now, she could boohoo cry at home and I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. But now I know she's good if she goes out, or she's good if she's in a space and she's good there. So now, I don't have to be worried, or I have to really be like, like concerned, like, dang, she went out. I don't know if she's going to run into somebody who's going to trigger her and blah, 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 and have that on your mind. So that's one of the things that we did.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I think it's so important. You both spoke on so many important things that could probably be taken back to the spouse in making sure that their significant other is fine, in making sure that they navigate it properly, in making sure that they're taking time for themselves as a caregiver. I don't think a lot of people get credit because you are a significant other, your spouse, but you literally have the title of caregiver as well. So when you are a caregiver, you have to make sure you are taking care of them, but taking care of yourself as well. And it's not an easy process because this is somebody that you love going through this. So you want to be there. You want to make sure that they're fine. Every single thing you're probably going to be at until you realize like, oh, I should probably sleep today. I should probably sleep. Right. So it's just important for everybody to have patience with themselves and their significant others in that sense. Again, thank you so much for joining me to have this conversation. It is not easy at all. Oh, sorry. We have a question. I was so ready. I'm sorry. We have a question. Someone asked, how do you deal with the painful sex? And then she said, I hope it's okay to ask this. So if you're uncomfortable, you don't have to answer. But if you want to share, you can definitely share. And I'll also share a link to one of the other Mocktails and Cocktails events we did where we talked about sex. But go ahead.
No, I want to get enough.
I'm like, go ahead. You sure?
No. So for me, it threw me off because we have a sex. This is like, she started crying. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, what's happening? What is happening here? I'm like, she's like, no, don't worry about me. I'm like, you're crying. What did I do? She's like, no, don't worry about it. Just. And I'm like, no, I'm not. That's like, no. You got close. This ain't happening this way. And so kind of having to, that first encounter, noticing that, I was like, so what happened? I was like, was I too? And so immediately, as a man, and a man's ego was like, man, I must have hurt her, must have did something, messed up her fallopian tube or something, just. And then here she go, no, I'm like. But navigating that was a little difficult at first because it was, when you're in that moment, you don't want to see, crying does not make you want to be intimate with someone. And so that kind of, for me, like that is like, I'm like, all right, well, we can do this another time. You want a napkin, you want some tea, what you want to do. And so navigating that, we had to figure out what was the best sexual positions to be in, what things led to her feeling more comfortable. So allowing her to take the wheel a lot, because it would be, she would kind of determine what her pain threshold would be. And so navigating that was more so allowing her to kind of take the lead, which is really foreign to me, which was really foreign to me. And so it was now relearning how to have sex. And so it is a completely different thing, having sex with your partner who has endometriosis, and now you have to be very sensitive and very mindful in that space. And it does help the people. Go ahead.
I knew you was gonna say that. Literally, I was gonna say everything that Greg said. So thanks, babe. The other thing that helped us transition to me being able to not be on top all the time was Nut. That drink is correct. Like, I say that to everybody. Like, it's really, really amazing. And it's amazing. I really don't know what else to say, but for people that have never heard of the Nut, so Nut works. Yes, Nut absolutely does work. There's 3 different rings. I think now she came out with 4. Was it 4 or 3?
I think I was 4.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I think it's either 3 or 4 rings. So the rings are a buffer. Each ring is a buffer, and each ring has a level. So like you can either stack it on top of each other, and based on your comfortability, like four rings is like level 1, and then like 1 ring is obviously like you graduated to where you almost don't need it at all. But it actually creates a buffer between the 2 people that are engaging in intercourse, so you're not feeling like the constant like pressure or pound of actually having intercourse, and it makes it easier. So when we started using the Nut, and we gradually went down to 1, by the time we got down to none, it was like, wow. But it did take some time, just like anything with physical therapy or pelvic floor therapy. Like, it is a part of therapy. I know that there are pelvic floor therapists that actually do use, or rather recommend their patients to use the Nut, and there's other ones like that. But for us personally, like Nut it changed the game for us. It really did.
That is awesome. We're still navigating painful sex. Ours, it just started for us recently. As my symptoms got worse, I started to notice like, oh wait, this position kind of hurts. So we're still trying to navigate like what positions work best. I find that just telling her like, ooh, or like moving a certain way kind of triggers her to go, okay, that's probably hurting her. And then we just switch position. We try not to avoid it altogether because intimacy, but we also find different ways to be intimate if I physically cannot do it. And that has been huge for us because I don't want that part of our life to go away. So we are always trying to find different ways to be intimate if I myself can't get off the way that we're used to, because it doesn't feel that great. I never want the intimacy of our marriage and our relationship to go away. So we found, okay, we like doing this and that, and we figure out what works for us and what's intimate to us, because intimacy looks different for everyone. And then we've just taken it and run with it. Because, when you, again, it's only in 1 year, we're not 70. We cannot not be getting it in. I am silly.
Y'all silly. I love it. Thank you for that. I hope that answered your question. I will also share that Daya Bryant, who is an Endo sister, she was one of the people that talked about sex and endometriosis. I shared the YouTube earlier for you to look at. I'll share her Instagram. She really talks about it a lot. She talks about lubrications. She also talks about using toys that are non-toxic. We never would have thought the toys were toxic, but that's here nor there because we're all learning in this process. I do want people to look into CBD, regardless of, you know, if it's sex or pain in general, because it causes a wave of like calmness over your body. It does probably assist depending on who you are, because everything works different for other people. I remember Day even mentioning something similar to what Millicent said, the positions, but she would say something about, you know, depending on how you put the pillow underneath you or where you place the pillow or how you lean this direction, that direction. And another thing I have learned is that you have to monitor your food. And I know that that can get really aggy very quickly, but let's be clear. If you're having ice cream, you're having cheese, you're having a milkshake, now is not the time for you to be doing anything, because that's going to mess your stomach up. You're going to be in pain. And that's going to be some of the reason why you're in that much pain. So just be mindful. Like if you're eating red meats, you know, you going out to dinner with your boo, y'all going to Ruth Chris, well, baby, that's going to be the end of the date right there. You're not about to enjoy the rest of your night unless y'all going to cuddle. And that's going to be it. So just be aware of certain things. I'll try to share more information. I believe Samantha Danae actually just posted something today. Let me see if I can find it. She posted some information about, she sure did. I'm about to send it right now. So hopefully that will be helpful to you. Nodding your heads in agreement. See? Yeah, it's not an easy thing. It's not, no one knows this stuff. No one knows. One, nobody knows about endometriosis. Two, no one knows all of the symptoms. The symptoms pop up randomly and then they disappear and then they come back 5 days later. So this is all a new process, a very, very new process.
Yeah, and it's important. I'm sorry. It's important for spouses to kind of believe their partner. I know that we ran into a couple who were dealing with it, and you know, they were like, "Oh, no, I ain't believe her because you ain't just gonna have sex with me and then not want to have sex with me." And but it is one of the things. It's like, okay, we were doing this kind of consistently, then all of a sudden you just don't want to do it. But you know, you have to believe your partner and you have to be honest with your partner. So you know, trying to being as a spouse, a supportive spouse, believing that your partners, when they say they're in pain, and they're not using it as an excuse not to do something. And also your spouse being honest with you and being honest that they're actually in pain and they're not using it as an excuse to do something, because that ends up being tricky. And now, you know, you don't want to be deceptive with that, because now that creates a level of mistrust. Like, okay, well, are you saying it just to say it, or are you really not feeling this way? And so you don't want to create that kind of tension in an already tense relationship where Endo lives. So you know, it's one of those things where, you know, honesty has to really be at the forefront. And you know, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to take what you're saying in, but you have to be honest. Is this an Endo thing? Or if you're not in the mood, say you're not in the mood. Like, don't blame Endo for all of the moments where you don't want to be intimate. And so I think that would be really helpful, because then that'll allow everybody to just kind of know where you are. You know, okay, I get it. Like, she's just not in the mood. Like, all right, cool. Like, that happens. So yeah.
And to piggyback off of what he just said, always remind yourself that your partner does want it as much as you do. Just sometimes we physically cannot do it. Right. And that's why I'm saying, you know, try to find other ways to be intimate in those moments where she physically can't do it, because she wants it just as much as you want it. And we kind of feel guilty when we can't. Well, not we. I'm not going to put it on everybody. I feel guilty when I can't do it, because I feel like I want to please my partner and I can't. in this moment. So just, remind yourself that just as bad as you want it, she wants it too, just today or this week. It's just not her week to be able to give you the physical intimacy that you're desiring. And so that's why we've put in place other ways to be intimate for the times where I can't physically do it. So
I think it's also verbalizing like the unspoken things that you're expecting your spouse to understand, just from, the facial expressions you make, or by, crawling in the bed and being in a ball. And it's like, and this is something that I'm still personally navigating. I don't know if anyone else is going through it, but it's like, I don't want to say the silent treatment, but I do tend to go silent. And that's because—
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Listen more.
Verbal.
It felt like a whisper. I was trying to get you tend to do what?
It's okay. Just keep paying attention. So look.
He's trying to get confirmation. Don't worry. This is recorded.
It's recorded. You can go back to it. His ears sometimes, he's a musician. It fades sometimes. So I feel as if sometimes we're silent instead of, for me, I've started saying, I feel funny. And sometimes I'm not able to completely articulate what I'm feeling, but I know that something is not right. And I think that from having the communication of at least just saying that, and then he's like, well, what are you feeling? Like, are you in pain? Are you nauseous? Can you not walk? And I was like, kind of all of those things, but they're mild. So now when I'm coming home from work, or when we're on our way home from church, or going out, whatever it is, then he knows like, okay, we pretty much about to call in the night. We're gonna watch Big Brother. We're gonna watch something ratchet, like something like.
No,
but
no,
even
no. You're going to watch something ratchet.
It's all right.
I'm going to be in the living room watching Sports Center. What's wrong?
But even within that, it's still those moments of understanding that I still need my own time. And it's not me just having a silent treatment and he don't know what's going on, because then that can cause division, separation, and unfortunately isolation. So just trying to articulate, because I know sometimes we don't really want to, talk about things as much when we are really like at our height. But at least to try to say like, I feel funny, I feel a little something, maybe my period is coming on early, like all of those little things, because we're so sensitive to our bodies that I want to make sure that I'm sensitive to Greg so that I'm able to communicate that to him too. And that also helps with intimacy as well, because I'm like, yo, I'm ovulating, what's good? But then other times I'm like, I'm ovulating and I'm in like a lot of pain, so I don't think that's gonna work. So, just having those different open dialogues and conversations, I think will also increase the intimacy in that area.
Thank you for that. And I mentioned cognitive, because for me, when you said there's something wrong, I just don't know what it is, I feel like that's cognitive, because there is something wrong. You just can't quite put your finger on it. I don't know if it's brain fog, my speech is not the same way it's supposed to be, I'm not even walking straight, it's like something weird is happening, but it's not a lot to make me just stop completely what I'm doing. It's mild. So I completely understand that. So again, thank you all for tuning in. I'm so appreciative of it. We shared some really great conversation pieces. I'm sure that people that were present were able to get some assistance, to get help. I hope that you took as much as possible from this conversation, whether it's learning to be patient, listening, to be present, whether you're communicating, to be empathetic. Just please, every moment you get, just take a moment to think about the other person in the relationship, whether you have endometriosis or not. You want to be supportive, you want to compromise when it is healthy. Before we head out, I just want to share some really quick tips for those who want to know how to manage your endometriosis. This is also on our website at www.endoblack.org. You can go to the Endo Guide. One of the biggest things we always talk about is keeping a journal, whether it's electronic or you actually write it down. It is very beneficial to do. It allows you to track your eating habits, your health conditions, anything that you have going on. Also, make sure you monitor how your body feels. We keep talking about that a lot because that allows us to put ourselves in the right position. Greg already said, April done left the house. I don't know if she got to cut somebody out today. But now you talked about how to navigate your endometriosis carefully. So the moment you feel off, you put yourself in a better place by taking yourself out of the equation, walking away from Becky, changing the atmosphere that you're in. So those are some things that you can definitely look into doing. Also, I'm a big fan of CBD, whether it's CBD gummies, CBD lotion, CBD drops. Kush Queen, we are partners with them, as well as Juna. I definitely advise everybody to check them out. I'll go ahead and give you a code because you know I like to give out free codes and stuff. At Lauren, Juna, you can use that to get you some CBD. When I tell y'all, oh, dang, I done lost my bottle. I use it so much. The bottle is pink. It's white now. That's how much I use it because I have it in my purse. I have it in my backpack, my pocket. This is one of the things that I take with me every single moment I leave out the house because I already know. The lotion does not pop up on drug tests, but I advise you to go and check that information out. I'm going to put that in the chat box for you. I'll put the specific lotion that I use. That way you can read up on that. Kush Queen also has soap, bath bombs. They got CBD lube. Let me go ahead and share. I'm sorry, I'm taking too long to share that. I should have been started off with that, right?
I mean, I don't know why you didn't just lead with it.
I should have led with it. But yes, definitely check that stuff out. I'm sending it now so that you all can check it out because I think it's very vital. I talk about this stuff, but when I'm serious, I'm so serious. It's because I really truly use these products and I truly love these products. Something else you can probably look into is making sure that you are moving. Millicent and Dionne said earlier, walking, making sure that you're walking consistently. It's not an easy thing. It's not like something where you can just get up and do at any given moment. The weather is crazy right now in DC. I know it's crazy in New York. So if you see some sun, get outside, walk a little bit, just move around the house. If you're walking just to your driveway to pick up some mail, just moving a little bit more because your body is important. You have to make sure that you're moving around. And then another piece that I always just really think is important to do is just to manage your stress levels. It's not an easy process, but we have to because stress actually flares up our endometriosis more. And if you're not careful, you can be in a situation and that could be more detrimental than you ever think about it. I'm getting ready to send the CBD lube as well. My bad. And I don't have a code for this, so I don't know what to tell y'all. But definitely check out her stuff. She has a lot of stuff. Olivia Alexandra is definitely amazing. She puts in a lot of work and she has a lot of stuff that's beneficial. I've never seen soap CBD before. So I think that's pretty cool. But again, thank you. Yes, thank you to the panelists. You guys are amazing. Thank you for taking the time out. I think this was one of my favorite ones because I learned a lot as well. And I think that this was, y'all had some real good energy. So I was real happy. And we all matched today. We all got black on. We all looking clean. But again, thank you so much. For those who want to learn more about endometriosis or Endo Black, please check us out at www.endoblack.org. You can follow us on Instagram at endo_black, and you can check them out. I will go ahead and put the flyer in the chat so that you can follow both of these beautiful couples and you can support them because they are going through some things that we're all very similarly going through. And we could get some advice. So, all righty, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy. Happy Friday Eve. Talk to you all later.
Bye.